We'll get the equipment. Line up all the drunks in the front. The second, okay. No. Streets of Old Center. Can we just have a little band? Lower. Here we go. As we walk down the halls of Center, as we walk down the halls one day, we spied an old man a-talking and talking. He talks and then hours on the PA. Everybody hum. Good morning, children. Please stand for the pledge. I have some announcements to enlighten you all. The weather's inclement, the lunch has been changed, and please don't bounce your balls in the hall. Staff are meeting this Thursday at 8 in the morning. Don't forget your curriculum guide. All kids will be asked to play on the blacktop. The rain has caused craters, they're 40 feet wide. Student council is meeting, selling a raffle. Don't forget the Human Relations Club. Drama's rehearsing, the newspaper's coming. Don't look for me later, 'cause I've hired a sub. I'll be at a meeting to hire my replacement. It has to be a person without any flaws. They're looking at someone who might be the answer. You may have heard of him, he's called Santa Claus. He's kind and he's jolly and he has my red face. He loves little children and surely is wise. I know he can do it, he'll fit in my footsteps. The best part about him is we're the same size. So goodbye, old friend. It's been good to know ya. We'll meet again, so please don't pout. Good luck in the future and think of me fondly. This is John J. Crowley. Roger. Over and out. Said, soft. Lord John is leaving home. Poor John is leaving home. A little bit slower, please, as it said. Poor John is leaving. Here we go. Old Crowley's leaving Center Street. It breaks our hearts, it makes us sweet. 20 years.
Alone, but he's known as Baron Masteleone. And since Lee Pierce is my leader, I'll have to call him Barry Masteleone. He's Vice President of the Herrick's Board of Education. Please welcome Barry Masteleone.
Yes, I'm one of the newer board members who has served while John Crowley was principal. But I must be a quick study because I already know the right question to ask tonight. That is, why are we here for this man? What has this man done in all his years at Herrick's that we should give him this reception? It's no coincidence that I'm leaving the school board while John is leaving Center Street. Every board member is elected with some agenda within the larger agenda, and frankly, the Center Street parents came to me and said, get that man out of that school. So I ask you again, why are we here for this man? This is a man whose career can be summed up in 2 words. Oy vey. This is a man who has been principal 19, 20, I don't know, depends on who's counting. Think of all the things that have happened in 20 years. Ebbs and flows and everything. Through it all, John Crowley has been the same, dull, mediocre man, day after day. Why are we here for this man? This is a man whose day goes from Danish to Gornish. This is a man who, to get prepared for writing as a process, went out and bought a Cuisinart. This is a man who's supposed to be an educational leader. We've seen him demonstrate that leadership. He leads the kids to gym. He leads the kids to the bathroom. He leads the kids to the lunchroom. Why are we here for this man? You know, recently there was a discussion of security in the schools. When this man heard we were bringing AIDS to Center Street, he started wearing a condom under his suit. Simon for president because he liked his music. This is a man that I know for a fact subscribes to one educational journal, Cliff Notes. Why are we here for this man? This is a man who, because of what he's done for Center Street, many want to dedicate the school to him. So beginning tonight, we will appropriately refer to it as the Center Street John. This is a man who thought it was fortuitous that a school named Center Street happened to be built on a block with the same name. You know, usually we try not to put too much stock in television ads. But this is a man for whom the statement, "a mind is a terrible thing to waste," has a special significance. This is a man who, upon hearing that Stop and Shop and A&P might merge, he thought he'd be able to go to a place called Stop and P. Why are we here for this man? This is a man who would have us believe that there were many other positions he had aspired to. You know, it's a little-known fact that John Crowley was once interim commissioner of baseball. But you and I know why it didn't work. The mothers of the players started writing letters. I want my son on this team. I want my son on this team. Why are we here for this man? This is a man who's every year in his budget request asks for one thing: an upgrade of his office Cablevision subscription. This is a man who gets telegrams from politicians, important figures. Governor Cuomo couldn't be here, said, "John Crowley is the finest public servant whose career I've chosen to totally ignore." Ronald Reagan said, "Now I know what I was doing August 1985. I was having lunch with John Crowley, and Nancy said it was the best nap I've had all year." What are we doing here for this man? Well, let me end on a personal note and tell you why. Everybody talks about your humanity and your love of children, John. Now, I never needed a smile from you to start the day, but I know somebody who has. And I never needed time in your office to get over some rough spots, but I know someone who has. And I never needed you to call my parents and talk about how things were going. But I know someone who has. And for her, and for every other child who's gone through Center Street, thank you and best of luck.
Our next speaker looks like a superintendent. He dresses like a superintendent. He even sounds like a superintendent. But I ask you, would you buy a used car from this man? I want to know why does the bumper sticker on his chair in the boardroom read, "I'd rather be golfing." Ladies and gentlemen, Superintendent of Schools of the Herrick Public Schools, Dr. Leon Pierce.
Thank you. No one can ever replace John Crowley. And this year, when we started a new process, we thought we'd involve other people. And I went over to the faculty and I asked the faculty what kind of man or woman would they like to see replace John. And they listed a whole bunch of characteristics: intelligent, innovative, caring, nurturing. I asked the same questions of the PTA Executive Board. And recently I was out interviewing a candidate for John's position, and the candidate asked me, he said, "What are you looking for in a replacement for John Crowley?" And I said, "Someone who doesn't eat beyond breakfast." I talked with John's son tonight to kind of test my perceptions, and they indicated to me that John sometimes exaggerated things and told stories. And we all know that he's had an interesting and varied life, according to himself. He's also been known to exaggerate a bit. And I ask you to consider the following. This is a special book. It's called According to John J. Crowley. According to John, he was once the director of the FBI. In reality, he was a local cop. According to John, he played professional baseball in Barnstorm with Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle. In reality, he played Little League Baseball and was a sub on his high school baseball team. According to John, he skipped the America's Cup race. In reality, he regularly capsized the 15-foot sunfish in Huntington Bay. According to John, he was recruited by George Farber to fill the Nassau-Bosse superintendent just before Ira Singer's appointment. In reality, John read the ad for the position in the New York Times. According to John, he was recently offered the presidency of several colleges in the area. In reality, he is considering Dowling College's offer to supervise one student teacher per year. According to John, he was recruited by Ira Singer to serve as the BOCES Director of Outdoor Education with free housing at Greenhill, New York. In reality, Ira, after learning that Center Street School would participate in the outdoor education program, offered John the usual BOCES reimbursement. According to John, he was approached by Harold Levins and offered the presidency of Harold's sailing school in Port Washington. In reality, Harold offered John free sailing lessons so that Sarah would be safe. According to John, he hosted Gene Goldwasser's 40th birthday party for 400 people at the World Trade Center, and JC picked up the tab. In reality, John hosted a Dutch treat cocktail hour at Mahoney's and hired a belly dancer to perform. According to John, the New York Times has offered him a position, critiquing the fine restaurants in the area. In reality, John has been approached by McDonald's to join the senior citizens workforce. On a more serious note, one has once said, and a lot of people have said, that probably the greatest tribute that can be paid a man or woman is what his colleagues say about him. And I would really disagree with that, because I think this party from where I'm sitting is anticlimactic. It was my pleasure last Friday to attend the real party at Center Street School, where Shea Laria, with her creative ability, put together a tribute to John with 400 of his students telling Johnny Crowley what they thought of him. And it's a shame that we couldn't have captured that, because that's the real tribute. Retirement for many is looked upon as a bittersweet experience, but for John, I sense it's all sweetness. And why is it sweet? John, in his almost 20 years at Center Street principal, has won the respect and admiration of parents and staff. And more importantly, John is perceived by his students as their friend. Recently, Ron Barnes and I attended an assembly in Center Street School where students and teachers paid tribute to Johnny Crowley. As various classes sang original lyrics to familiar tunes and performed skits, the message from the children was always the same, was rather a simple one: we love and respect our friend, Dr. Crowley. Well, while some 200 adults have assembled tonight, John, to pay you tribute, in my opinion, the greatest tribute was paid to you when over 400 students assembled to say, we love you. Good luck and Godspeed.
On behalf of Nancy and I, this job of sharing this meeting tonight, this faculty meeting and community meeting, has been a pleasure. Having been associated with John Crowley for 10 years, he's become a real friend, and everything that was said tonight was true. I would like to mention the people who worked on John's behalf to make this party a reality. Besides Nancy and myself, we have Shea Luria, Evelyn Shapiro, Jill Fowler, and Nancy Fine at the Center Street School.
Being the only female principal in this illustrious crew has its advantages and its disadvantages. The disadvantages have to do with the fact that I have learned in the past 6 years more about the Knicks, the Mets, the Jets, the Nets, the Giants, and every other team that plays that any person really needs to know. But the advantage to it is that I have the opportunity to tell you and call you up here and express to you how much you will be missed and how much we've loved you. It's going to be hard for Jean and I to be without you. You've given us a perspective. You've brought to us a very special gift of your humor. We've appreciated it, and we've loved you for it. I think you, John, come on. I think you've made us both a little bit better. Somebody today said that Jean is as intense on one hand as I am on the other, and you are the thing that kept us together.
I think I'm going to need a few cards for tonight. I'd just like to say this is a marvelous culmination, so to speak, of a career, 38 years, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I think I've been a fortunate man in that each day I got up to go to work, come to my profession, And I've never really regarded it as saying, son of a gun, I've got to get on that expressway, drive to work, spend time and come back. Every day was an adventure. Every day was something different. And well, way back inadvertently, I found I really loved children. I had no idea of going into teaching a number of years ago. Had anyone said it, I think they would have been rebuffed. My thoughts would have become an airline pilot. I found out that my eyes were not sufficient for that. I fooled around with the police force. I bought a restaurant. I've done a number of things. I've had a lot of fun along the way. However, the major portion of my career has been dedicated toward children and education. I hope that in some small way I've left an imprint on Herrick's. I think that school can be anxiety-free. I think children can learn in such an environment. I know that the foundation, that Dr. Erger, Ira, Norm Hawili, Phil Pitchersall, all of us laid in place. The foundation is there, and I know that the future years ahead will be good ones for the students and parents in Herrick's. But I'd like to digress for a moment. I had so many people this evening say kind words and nasty words about me, and I'd just like for a few moments to tell about a few of the people who are here. We go back a long way. And Herrick's is number one, at least in my eyes, in terms of polls and whatever, because of the contributions that all of us made. Herrick's is a unique place. I hope it will continue to be. George Farber, I'd just like to say a word or two. When I was interviewed in the district, I was interviewed by board members, and it was rough going for a while. I really didn't know if I was going to be seriously considered for Herrick's until George raised a very interesting question. He started probing and asking about other dimensions of my personality. When he started to ask me about pots and pans and cooking utensils, and I said, we use Farberware in my home. Very quickly, he said, would you please step outside? And before you know it, he said, you have the job. It was amazing. But George, thank you, George. Nancy Linda now. What can I tell you about Nancy? My goodness, we've spent some wonderful days together at lunch, and she is an outstanding principal. You'll always find her outstanding in front of Bloomingdale's. And it's fantastic. And we'll miss the jibes we've had together. We've had a lot of good times together. Well, we'll have more to say about that as we move along. John De Silva left. He had to leave, and there's no truth to the rumor that he modeled for the famous statuary, The Thinker. But, well, so much for that. Shea Laurier, the poor man's Dolly Parton. What can I tell you? Gene Goldwasser. Gene Jr., the little boy that Dr. Erger and I took under our wing. We nurtured him. We practically had to toilet train him. What can I tell you? But we made him what he is today, and we apologize for that. My goodness. My goodness. The arts and whatever. Whenever we go to lunch and I make a move on a waitress, she says, only if you take your son with you. So, it never came to fruition. But the Junior, you'll be well remembered. Dr. Singer, this was interesting. Many years ago, when I came to the district, I looked like that. I weighed 140 pounds. Dr. Singer said, I like my man or my principals to have a command presence. I want you to bulk up. He gave me steroids for 3 years. He said, Vince uses them also. Try it. Look what happened. So in any event, we had Dr. Singer. Also, I think Dr. Singer, we had a chuckle many years ago. I represented, along with Dr. Pierce, our district at a meeting on Long Island. And we were asked to identify ourselves, whereupon each of us got up in turn and said proudly, I'm from Herrick's. And the fellow that was leading the conference said, I know about you. You guys, you never win a game in Herrick's. And I quickly retorted, yes, but we dance like hell. We still are dancing. And I shall remember always. Ira, my white dance shoes, my wife, I was wearing them in the Grand Canyon. She said, these shoes look awful. You'll find my white shoes that I dance with, they're in Grand Canyon. True. Dr. Erger, what can I say about him? a man of conviction. He's been convicted of everything. Wife abuse, selling watches, knockoff. You read the latest Williston Times, you'll find what's happening to him. But Donnie and I go back a long way. We've had a lot of good times. We visited together on vacation. I look forward to seeing a great deal more of him, both in Florida and in Vermont. I mean, his rates are cheap. $4 a night, we can make it. Haskell Page. Here's Haskell. Haskell, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Now he's in a beautiful place in Mount Sinai. And Haskell says to me, look, Crowley, if you want to work in Herrick's, you have to look professional. He said, well, come with me. I'll buy you suits. You'll come with me. I said, where do you get your suits? He says that you've known Haskell, you've seen him around a number of years. He said, I get him on 125th Street. You'll come with me. I said, I'm not going. But in any event, you can see Haskell is still something sartorial splendor. Bernie Kinberg, he's our answer to the Bruchis, but he's not here. Dr. Pierce, those of you who sat in on the cabinet meetings with Dr. Pierce, he would always come and says, we're dealing with critical masses. We're dealing with critical masses. I said, what are these critical masses? We get an education. Critical masses. They're vital. This time, critical masses. I asked a couple of people. He said, you don't know, Crowley? He said, no. I said, don't talk about it. It's hemorrhoids. Critical masses. Critical masses. Unbelievable. Mike Savitz. Mike Savitz. We knew him as Mike Savitz when he was here. He came all the way from Philadelphia, and I love the man for doing this. Now he's down there in Philadelphia. He's known as Maya. I'm in the little class he's using now. Maya Savitz. Thanks, Mike, for coming. I appreciate it a great deal. And who did I leave out? Vince LaSala. If any of you have visited my office, you know that I used to have a beautiful matched set of furniture. Chairs, tables. You might know that the board had a couple of meetings there. Each time they came, there was one less chair. Now I have a conference table and one chair. Vince, please, show me a few chairs. But I know Vince and his lovely children. All of them went through the school while I had the pleasure of being there. Lovely kids, and he's the grandfather now of a number of small youngsters. And, well, they would be small, I guess. They're not big Vince. But in any event, I've had the pleasure of knowing Vince and Carol quite a period of time. Dr. Barnes also, I can't leave Dr. Barnes out, although he's been very nice. He didn't torture me this evening. But as a youngster, Dr. Barnes was interested in theater. And he would always say, you know, the kids, let's make a show. Well, this is carried over today into the teaching profession. He sits around the office, he said, let's make a workshop. So we have a number of workshops coming along. All right. And also with Dr. Pierce, he's a very religious man. And he always wanted to go to Rome. And last year, you may not know this, he did go to Rome to see the Pope. And he went to St. Peter's in the Vatican. And each day he stood in line in front. He wanted to be very close to the Pope, perhaps to touch him. Maybe good fortune would befall him. Each day the Pope passed by, never recognizing him, and always went over to the curb where a little beggar was sitting in tattered clothes. And the Pope bent down, put his hand on his shoulder, and whispered in the beggar's ear. After doing this for 3 or 4 days, Dr. Pierce finally said, aha! He says, I know what I'll do. I'll go over, I'll give this beggar 1,000 lira, I'll exchange clothes with him, I'll sit there. This way the Pope will come to see me. So sure enough, Dr. Pierce went over, made the exchange with the beggar. Next day, Dr. Pierce is sitting on the curb in these beggar's clothes. All of a sudden, the Pope comes by again, passes by the multitude, comes over to Dr. Pierce, disguised as the beggar, sitting on the curb, bends over, puts his hand on Dr. Pierce's shoulder, whispers in his ear, if I told you once, I told you twice, get the hell out of here. He's still looking. He's still looking. All right, I guess I touched base with a number of people. I needed a few cards. I can't tell you people, if I knew how to cry, I guess I would, because I'm very touched by all of the people here this evening. I've worked in a number of districts and in a number of schools during my career. And when I came to Herrick's, I knew it was a special place, and this is where I decided to nest, so to speak. And the things that have taken place in Herrick's while since I've been here, monumental. Open classroom, closed classroom, vertical classroom, upside down classroom. We've had everything here, and we've made it work. That's the odd part of it. We have the ability and the skill to do these kinds of things. In any event, people, I just want to say, I'm at a loss for words tonight, really. I should have prepared something, but I want to thank all the parents and the teachers and the administrators who are here. Although I won't be too far away, I'll always be a fly on the wall. I'll always be interested in knowing what is going on in Herrick's. I intend taking a couple of months off, visiting friends, sailing, and I've been working since I've been 15, and I feel I owe myself 5 or 6 months to just screw around, so to speak. And, Sarah, I didn't mean it. In any event, we look forward to doing a number of things, and just kind of cooling out, and perhaps teaching at college at a later date. I've been in the business long enough, I think we can fool them. In any event, thank you so much for making this the highlight of my career. I thank you all. Thank you so much.
And I skipped you before, I apologize. Come on, Ron!